Did you start it?
So today we are talking about LMN and our experience with it this past year.
Yeah, we recently signed up. It was over the winter. It was, I think, December, and we we wanted to finally broke down and wanted to try it out. And after kind of being bombarded with advertisements for it and everybody talking about it, and it seems the people that have it love it, and what we wanted to try it out, and we thought we were ready for it. And there's a handful of things that we wish we would have known in advance before we signed up for them.
Yeah, so if there's anything we can offer that's insightful to help you make a decision if you're thinking about having a software like this, there are lots to choose from at this point. We went with LMN because we previously had tested it out, and there's a free version. And at the time, I think before we did it was a couple of years ago, and we weren't really prepared. And a lot of my hesitation was I don't like things with frameworks that I don't think I'm going to use. Like I don't like planners and things that have specific, I don't know, like things that you have to fill in. I want to be able to fill in and create it myself. So I was hesitant because of that. And mentally, I don't think I was ready for it. So when we signed up this time, I thought it was better than I thought in terms of the how you can manipulate it to customize what you want for your own business.
Yeah, that obviously had similar fears that it wouldn't that we would be locked into whatever their presets were, and that really wasn't the case. And that ended up being a detriment for when we tried to install it and tried to actually use it. It's so customizable, which I think is a great thing. So you're not gonna, I don't feel like you can outgrow it. It's not like there's a smaller version where you would just outgrow it, where certain features just wouldn't work for a certain size company or whatever. I feel that it works pretty much across the board, and yeah, that was one of the nice things about it, but that turned out to be the biggest detriment for us signing up. We signed up in December. We had a plan. We were going to implement it, and we wanted to use our off season since we shut down over the winter time, and we had over 2 months of nothing. And the problem was they ran a special, and maybe a lot of people signed up for it, or maybe they're just understaffed. But
they might have been on vacation for the holidays too, or something.
I think that happened with our one particular trainer, and it just when we were most most excited about the software, we weren't able to use it. There was the implementation wasn't really there, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we weren't able to really have anyone shed any light on anything, and they didn't really want us to mess around with the software on our own.
Yeah, we had to submit all of these things. They gave us a list of stuff to submit, like our P&L and material costs and everything, and they were going to handle it.
And they did our overhead budget and stuff, but the problem is we already have Jim Houston, and we have all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we waited for somebody to put in information that we already knew. We already kind of knew our numbers, so it took us such a long time. It took such a long time to implement it that we were talking before that we forgot that we even had it.
We did. Like John said, we were super excited when we signed up, And we're like, yes, we're going to have this. We're going to take the first quarter. We're going to have it under control. And then we're going to start Q2. And it's just going to make estimating faster and easier. And we had to sit for at least 4 or 5 weeks or so, maybe 6, and hang tight while they were putting all of our information into, well, I guess they didn't need the information for about 3 weeks. They gave us 3 weeks to get it to submitted, and then our account manager or whoever handles it entered it all in time for us to start group training. So, we didn't ask, okay, is there something we should do in the meantime? And I didn't think to ask because I thought we have to wait for them to give us the go-ahead and go through their process.
Yeah, and then we signed up, and then they had us. We had to use their onboarding, and their onboarding is a 2-week program where you sign up and you have to do. You can't even just pick it out what you want to do. They have to sign you up for a certain class, and it's supposed to be live training. Some of it was not
recorded, yeah.
So much of it was recorded, and it was very bizarre. The trainings, I personally, I don't know if you got anything. I didn't get anything out of them.
No, it didn't help me to learn how to implement the software. It was focused on teaching you what it walked you through the pieces, but briefly, more of the focus seemed philosophical in terms of telling you, like time cards. Okay, I know what a time card is or why we need to use it, stuff like that. Just show me how to actually implement it, or don't tell me about a P&L statement. And to your point before, I think one of your comments was, if you're going to sign up for something like LMN, you probably already have some kind of a grasp of what these basic business terms and pieces are. So why are we kind of starting at a basic level? So
yeah, it was very basic, and I will say that through the experience, I learned that it really seems that LMN they're geared more towards the maintenance end, because you still have to do a lot. It doesn't help with quantity takeoffs. They have their calculators, which is neat, but you're still breaking projects down. You still need to know how to estimate materials.
Well, if you have a 600 square foot patio, and you walked me through this because I didn't really catch it right away, but if you have your quantities entered, like so many tons of base per square foot or something, but you have all the pieces to put the bid together laid out, you need to enter that 600 square feet for every line item. It's not just pop it in at the top and it automatically populates everything moving forward. So there is some repetitive data entry to it.
Yeah, it could be a lot better when it comes to that, and as a quantity takeoff tool for hardscapes, because hardscapes aren't that hard they're not that difficult to do quantity takeoffs on. And if you're not sure what a quantity takeoff is, that's just, you take your measurements and it's a fancy way of saying how much materials do I need.
Yeah.
That's all that is. So it's that's,
well, half of the to the point of what it's geared for. Most businesses are a little bit of everything. So they kept saying, maintenance, and then when we got into our 101 trainings, it would she would say about maintenance, and she'd say, oh, well, you're not in maintenance. There was like routing and stuff like that, GPS kind of things, and those things weren't applicable. 50-50, it was kind of 50-50 training for landscapes or hardscapes, and then the other part was just pure maintenance. So
yeah, the maintenance, we're a small company, we as a maintenance company, I could see the benefit for a small company signing up with it. for a 2, 3, 4 person construction crew, if that's all that you're doing, I didn't see a benefit to having like I don't think it's necessary to have this particular software for a company that's only like 4 guys in the field, and that's your whole company. If all you're doing is design build, I personally can create an Excel sheet in a few minutes that's going to be able to do everything that LMN does. So like I said, that we use Jim Houston, so that helps. So maybe we're coming at it from a position of already knowing our numbers, and most people don't. So that could be helpful for.
We have some tools that are akin. I mean, it's not as polished and fancy looking as LMN, but tracking prospects and tracking our numbers, having a bid sheet already, having a budgeting spreadsheet tool. So yeah, if we came at it with nothing, then it's all right there. And the benefit is it is in one place, so you're not pulling up this sheet and that sheet. So that was one thing that was a plus that I was looking at, but for the way we structure our estimates though too, the second page, at least for retaining walls, the second page of the estimating sheet we have from Jim, I punch in dimensions, and it can be the average size or whatever, and I could be on the phone with somebody and generate an estimate on the spot. It would be difficult to do that with LMN just because it is really thorough. You can't just kind of quickly throw something together.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, yeah, so kind of with all this stuff, we with everything going on, we decided that we were going to postpone, and because we were trying to, trying to get it implemented, and it was essentially like trying to change a tire on a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
And it just, during our busiest season, it's just not going to happen. So we were going to postpone. Ran into some issues. They were very hard to get a hold of, like insanely difficult.
For support.
What did we have in trying to? How much was it to get? I'm saying we're trying to get
out.
Canceled.
Yeah.
And what
getting out of it's tough. So, I sent, once we finally decided, because we were back and forth, we really wanted to give it a good shake. But like John said, trying to do that right now at the busiest time of year, learn something and not be 100% sure on being confident in the implementation of it, it's just too tough right now. So we said, okay, we're done. We were supposed to have a meeting with our account manager. I canceled it, explained why. The rollout was just really long, and so it didn't meet our expectations in terms of the timeline. So I was told, I tried to do a chat. Everyone tried to direct me to their support email address, and I emailed them several times over the span of 2 or 3 weeks. So starting at the end of March until this past week, I was emailing them. Finally, our account manager stepped in and said, hey, why don't you fill out this form, this help form, and one of the options on the drop down on that page was cancellation. And that they finally responded to that and claimed that they didn't receive any of my previous emails and conveniently charged us for the next month as well. So
yeah, and conveniently called us immediately after
the day after
the charge hit the bank account. So
yeah,
don't feel too confident that they're the most trustworthy company. I haven't. I'm not saying they're scandalous, but I'm also not saying they're not.
Just if you decide to enter into something with them, just document things, I would say, and just kind of be aware they told me that there's, so long of a turnaround or something to cancel. They told me to who to email, but somehow it didn't make it through. So, but you had also done a support ticket prior to that.
We've tried reaching out
in
a myriad of ways, and they were just completely not helpful. I have still several support tickets that are open for various questions that I have, and haven't gotten it. That was just for implementation purposes. So I get the impression that they're better at marketing than they are at
the support end.
The support. So they bring in a bunch of people, like customers, and they haven't built up their staff to keep up. So,
yeah.
Because our account manager was one of the senior people there.
But then I heard she had only been there for maybe a year.
She was there for a year. Yeah. So when your senior people are there for a year,
yeah.
that kind of speaks that, I mean, everyone's having a hiring crunch, we're told. So that could be part of it, but I feel like I feel like they could be doing a much better job.
I agree. And when I had voiced some concerns about the whole rollout of the program and how long it took and just all this downtime that we really could have used to actually dig into it, they had me set up a Zoom meeting with somebody else. I don't remember her name or title or anything, but and one of the things she had mentioned was about having you as the contractor, have contractors enter their own information and do it in real time. And I feel like if they would have done that from the get-go, I mean, they have those videos that they point you to, like, oh, if you need help, just go to this video library. And it's extensive, but they haven't, since they made updates, especially with the job costing feature, the program's been updated, but the videos have not. So when you're going through a video, you think, oh, this is going to be really helpful, but some of those places they tell you to click here or there aren't where they say they are. So it really needs cleaned up to be able to use it, because that gets frustrating too.
Yeah, that's fair. So that's pretty much our experience with it. We started off, had high hopes, and it was just kind of a pretty big letdown, and we're just kind of having to part ways with it. And,
yeah. What originally started as something we thought we would just postpone until fall to try and re-up again when we have more time to focus on it. Now we have some experience under our belts, but the way the whole parting ways situation is going, it's every time I didn't get a response, and as long as this keeps going, I don't see any chance that we're going back to them specifically.
Not at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
See ya.